Hello fellow minis, it is time for mini sneak peek of the newest hero coming to Clash Mini, the Royal Champion. The Royal Champion is a long-range mini that throws a spear at enemy minis. For her super, she throws a bouncing shield that deals 4 damage and briefly stuns the target that she hits. What's crazy about her is that she gains full energy if her shield happens to knock her target out, which means that she can then immediately throw another shield at another opponent. At level 5, she gains an ability called Lonely. This increases her attack speed by quite a bit if she is the last mini on the battlefield. And if you only place her on the battlefield, she will still get this bonus. Here's a little bit of a comparison with and without this ability activated to show you guys just how strong this is. Now at level 10, her super gains a bounce that will hit 2 targets with each throw. And if either bounce knocks an enemy out, she'll be able to throw a second shield immediately after. Keep in mind that this will only bounce between minis that are actually within range of each other because the Royal Champion doesn't have infinite range. Now that you've seen the Royal Champion in action, it is time to put her up against every hero and then every mini in the game. But first, don't forget to subscribe for more Clash Mini content. First up is the Royal Champion versus the Archer Queen. Now because the Archer Queen has infinite range, the Royal Champion starts out by traveling within 3 tiles of the Queen before she can actually attack. Now for these 1v1s, I go with the game's default positioning, which gives her a bit of a disadvantage in this matchup. She still wins the first round at level 1 though, because she has way more health than the Archer Queen does. When they're both at level 5, things get even better for the Royal Champion because her Lonely ability goes into effect because this is a 1v1 situation. At level 10, neither actually gets to utilize their final ability, but all the Royal Queen needs to do to take out the Archer Queen is for her to charge up that first shield throw. And that means that she wins 3-0 against the Archer Queen. Now in the matchup against the Barbarian King, the Royal Champion has a bit of an advantage because she outranges the Barbarian King. It's a really close call at level 1, but the Barbarian King is able to land the finishing blow a split second before the Royal Champion. At level 5, the Royal Champion gets a huge speed boost because she's the only one on the field, which is exactly what she needs to make a comeback against that Barbarian King. It's a close fight, but she does take a victory against our tanky hero. Unfortunately for the Royal Champion though, at level 10, the Barbarian King's damage boost lasts twice as long, which is all he needs to defeat the Royal Champion, even though it looks like she's going to win it at first. And that means that she loses 1-2 against the Barbarian King. Now you really never know how a 1v1 is going to go against the Countess because of her healing ability. When they're both at level 1, it looks like the Royal Champion is going to lose, and then it looks like she's going to win, and then she actually loses. At level 5, things do get better for her because of her ability to increase her attack speed. She's able to deal damage fast enough to prevent the Countess from healing a second time and takes a win. At level 10, it's a very close matchup. The Countess has a faster attack speed and heals with her super, but the Royal Champion knocks her health back down with her shield. In the end, the Royal Champion beats the Countess with a sliver of health and wins 2-1 against the Countess. Now I'm just gonna tell you right now that the Royal Champion doesn't stand a chance against the Monk at any level. As soon as he activates his Palm Strike, it's clear that she's going to lose at level 1. And at level 5, it's the same story, and his stun lasts so long that she can't even get him down below half health. At level 10, she's shut down even harder because his Palm Strike damage is almost doubled. It should come as no surprise that the Royal Champion loses 0-3 against the Monk, who remains the king of 1v1. Next, we have the Royal Champion facing off against the Shield Maiden, and at level 1, the fight between these two goes for a long time, which is actually pretty normal for the Shield Maiden. It is a very close match, but the Royal Champion does end up taking that first round. When both heroes are at level 5, the matchup leans more clearly toward the Royal Champion because she uses a bit more time to throw her shield at the Shield Maiden, which reduces a bit of the reflect damage that she ends up taking. And that means the Royal Champion is able to grab a second win at level 5. At level 10 though, the Shield Maiden has so much HP that even though the Royal Champion does avoid a fair amount of reflect damage thanks to well-timed supers, she ends up barely losing to the Shield Maiden at the last second. That means that she wins 2-1 against the Shield Maiden. As you can see, the Royal Champion holds her own against the heroes with a win rate of 53%. Honestly, that seems pretty balanced to me. But as a hero, she's obviously not very balanced against all of the minis, which is exactly what I'm going to show you right now. We're going to start with the minis that did the worst against her and work our way up to the minis that did best against her in a 1v1 fight. First up, we have the Archer. And the Archer is only able to hit the Royal Champion twice before she ends up getting taken out, which ties her with this next mini for last place. And that other mini is the Wizard. Even though the Royal Champion is only level 1, the Wizard can only deal 2 damage as well because he only has 4 HP and and a slow attack speed. Next, we have a two-way tie for 19th place, starting with the Miner. Now, the Miner only has 4 HP, but he has a fast enough attack speed that he's able to get one more swing in there, which is enough to deal 3 damage against the Royal Champion before dying. Now, we have the Ice Wizard, who also has 4 HP and a slow attack, but he slows the Royal Champion just enough that he's able to deal 3 damage before getting taken out. Next is our first 4 elixir mini, the Electro Wizard. He's able to charge up a full super, but before he's able to actually fire it, he gets taken out, which is unfortunate because he might have actually been able to take her out if he would have been able to use that super. He's able to deal 4 damage to the Royal Champion before dying and takes 18th place. Now up next is a 3-way tie for 15th place between the Knight, Skeleton Guard, and Lumberjack. Now here we have 2 mini tanks and a damage booster who all get to activate their abilities before dying. The Knight and the Skeleton Guard even survive one of the Royal Champion's supers. In the end though, all 3 of them are only able to deal 5 damage to our hero. Next, we have the Giant Skeleton, and he has a very slow attack speed, but he has 10 HP, which helps him survive long enough for her to charge her super and then eventually wipe him out. Technically, the Giant Skeleton only deals 3 damage to the Royal Champion before dying, but because his one saving grace is the fact that he deals damage with his bomb after he dies, I decided to include the 3 damage that comes with that ability. And that means that he ties with the next 4 minis for 10th place. And those 4 minis are the Spear Goblin, Healing Ranger, Valkyrie, and the Magic Archer. All 4 of these are able to deal 6 damage to the Royal Champion before getting taken out. The Spear Goblin has a Clash ability to thank for that. The Valkyrie and Magic Archer are able to deal 2 damage per attack, and the Healing Ranger has her healing to help survive longer than most of the minis, which allows her to then deal damage, even though she's only dealing 1 damage per attack. Now next we have the Dark Goblin, who starts out slow but gradually increases his attack speed. He's able to deal 7 damage before he gets taken out, which is actually the highest score out of all the minis with 6 HP or less, and that's enough for 9th place. Surprisingly, the Barbarian is our best scoring 2 elixir mini. Unsurprisingly though, it's because of his attack speed, which increases after every single attack, just like the Dark Goblin attack does. He survives enough for him to be able to deal 8 damage before getting taken out by the Royal Champion's shield. Then the Musketeer and Bowler are also able to deal 8 damage before dying thanks to their knockback abilities. The Bowler obviously knocks her back at the start of the match, and the Musketeer knocks her back near the end of it, but you can see how effective these stuns and knockbacks are at actually helping these minis survive longer so that they have more time to deal damage. They end up tying with the Barbarian and our next 2 minis for 4th place. And those 2 minis are the Mini P.E.K.K.A. and the Mega Knight. Now, although both of these are tanks, the Mini P.E.K.K.A. is kind of like a hybrid damage dealer that has a chance to deal 2 times damage with each hit. Unfortunately, for the one time I was recording this, the Mini P.E.K.K.A. did his normal 2 damage every single time this matchup. Now, the Mega Knight just does well because he's the tankiest mini in the game. He survives a super long time, and his super also helps out a bit, but he ends up tying with these other minis for 4th place. And coming in 3rd place is the P.E.K.K.A. Now, the P.E.K.K.A. has a chance to deal 6 damage with a single swing, and luckily for her, she does that with her first attack. Now, after 2 more attacks, she is the first mini to actually defeat a level 1 Royal Champion. She survives with 2 HP, which is why she takes 3rd place. And in 2nd place, we have the Prince. Now, the Prince deals a ton of damage right at the start, and then he continues to deal a lot of damage after knocking the Royal Champion clear back to the back of the board because he deals 2 damage per attack and doesn't even give her a chance to use her super before taking her out. He survives with 5 HP and takes 2nd place. And that means that our best mini against the Royal Champion is the Battle Healer. I know, I am just as surprised as you, except that it's actually not as surprising as you might think because of how effective her healing actually is. Even after the Royal Champion hits the Battle Healer with her super, she still has half of her health left, and by the time the Battle Healer heals a 2nd time, it's obvious that the Royal Champion doesn't even have a shot. The Battle Healer ends the 1v1 with 7 HP remaining, which means that she gets 1st place. And there you have it, the Royal Champion versus every mini and hero in Clash Mini. Although I guess the heroes are minis as well. I'm really curious to know what you guys think of her. I've only played her against myself, which is funny, and also against bots, but she seems pretty strong. I don't think she's the strongest, but I definitely don't think she's the weakest. Make sure you subscribe for more Clash Mini content right here, and I also have a Brawl Stars channel right there if you did not know that already. You can check out my sneak peek for the Prince and the Musketeer right here, and you can watch another video if that interests you. For now, this is KairosTime ticking by, and we will see you in Clash Mini.